Welcome to my lesson on validation. Today we're going to be looking at different types of input validation. Required input validation prevents the processing until certain required inputs are given. When you are required to enter a value using an edit component, you may want to test if this edit component has a value before processing calculations. In this example, I'm using an edit component called EDT full name, and I'm checking if this edit component is left blank or empty by saying if it is equal to the null string. If EDT full name.text equal a null string, if it is blank or empty, I'm displaying a message on a dialog box stating, please enter a value. So this is how you would test if a t-edit is left empty or blank. Let's look at another GUI component. This is a combo box, but it works exactly the same if you were using a list box. Now we all know from previous lessons that a combo box is indexed starting at 0. So owner will be at index 0, customer at index 1, and staff at index 2. So if I want to check if a value was selected from the combo box, I would check if CMB make dot item index equals -1. So I'm checking if this combo box is equal to -1. If it is equal to -1, it means that no selection was made because the combo box starts at index 0. The next type of validation is where you can do type validation. So I could check for numbers or for integer values. For example, if a person had to enter a value on a t-edit, and I want to make sure that this number entered is of data type integer, I would do an if check and check if inum, the variable that I created, does it match the set from 0 to 9? And note again, I'm using the in operator. If it is in this range between 0 and 9, both inclusive, then it will display number is a digit. Otherwise, it'll go into my else statement and allow the user to re-enter a number. And note I'm using a procedure called set focus. It'll take the cursor back to the t-edit and allow the user to enter a correct value that is an integer number. Type validation again, where I can check for a letter. So I want to check if an input, using an input box, if this input is a character. Note I've created a variable of data type char, and I'm checking using the in operator, is C letter in this range of alphabetical characters. And I'm checking both lowercase and uppercase characters. If it is in the range, it's going to display a message that the character is a letter of the alphabet. Let's move on to the next one. In this example, I'm checking for length validation. So I can check if a password or a login contains a certain number of characters. So I've entered a password using a t-edit, and I'm checking if the length of this password is equal to 8 characters. If the number of characters in this password equals 8, then it will display valid password. Otherwise, it'll go into the else if the condition is false, and it'll display invalid password, re-enter. So using length again, length is a function. It returns the number of characters in a string. It will tell me how many letters or how many characters is in the string. And remember, length returns the value as an integer value, tells me how many. The next one is range validation. Here I can check if a number or date falls within a specific range. And in this example, I want to check if an age of a student is between 13 and 18, both inclusive, and if it is within that range, I want to display within the high school range. So let's look at it. So I've created a variable called iAge, data type integer. I'm getting a value from a tEdit, and I'm then checking if iAge is greater than or equal to 13 and iAge less than or equal to 18. So if the learner is between 13 and 18, both inclusive, and using the AND operator, both conditions must be true. If it returns true, it's going to display on a dialog box within the high school range. If the condition evaluates to false, it'll go into the else statement and display the entry is for high school learners only. I've prepared an activity for you, so let's look at it. A password is required for the owner and the staff of Oven Delights Bakery to use the system. The panel PNLQ1, where the password must be entered, is not visible to the user. Write code on the on-click event of the combo box to display the panel if the owner or staff is selected from the radio group, and to hide the panel if customer is selected. So if the user selects owner or staff, it will allow the owner or staff to enter the password, and the owner or staff can validate if the password is correct or not. If customer is selected, this panel will hide. Let's have a look at the next part of the activity. Write code to do the following on the Validate Password button. Extract the password from the edit box. Determine whether the password is valid or not. A valid password must satisfy the following criteria. It must consist of at least 6 characters. Note the words at least. It means that the password must have minimum 6 characters. The first character must be a capital letter. The password must contain 2 or more special characters. The special characters must be from the following list. It can either be the $sign, the @sign, the hash symbol, and the ampersand symbol. And remember, it must contain 2 or more special characters. So again, the password must be at least 6 characters. It must start with a capital letter, and it must contain minimum 2 special characters. Use a dialog box to display a message indicating whether the password is valid or not. Clear the password edit box if the password is invalid. I'm going to allow you to do this activity on your own, and until then, enjoy the activity and follow me on my next video where I present a solution. Thank you, learners.